Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, making it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him, translation, the meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 4, chapters 1 through 7, Lord Shiva, Sati, and Daksa. Chapter 1, Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. As described in the first verse of this chapter, Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters named Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti. Of these 3 daughters, one daughter, Devahuti, has already been described, along with her husband, Kardama Muni, and her son, Kapila Muni. In this chapter, the descendants of the first daughter, Akuti, will specifically be described. Swayambhuva Manu was the son of Brahma. Brahma had many other sons, but Manu's name is specifically mentioned first because he was a great devotee of the Lord. When Manu gave his daughter Akuti in marriage to Prapati Ruchi, it was on the condition that their firstborn son would be given to Manu to be brought up as his son. Manu knew that the Supreme Lord Yagna, along with Yagna's eternal consort Lakshmi Devi, would take birth as his children. A verse from chapter 1 is text 47. Ta ete munaya kastar lokam sadgair abhavayan isa kardama jauhitra sanata kathitastava. Translation. My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages and the daughters of Kardama. Anyone who hears the descriptions of this dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reaction. Chapter 2. Daksa curses Lord Shiva. When Vidura inquires about Sati's astonishing death, Maitreya begins his reply, narrating the events of a sacrifice held in the millennium long past. Maitreya explains the cause of the dissension between Lord Shiva and Daksa, which was due to a great sacrifice arranged by Daksa for the pacification of the entire universe. Lord Shiva is described here as the best of gentle because he is not envious of anyone. He is equal to all living entities, and all other good qualities are present in his personality. The word Shiva means all auspicious. Daksa, Sati's father, organizes a grand sacrifice. Daksa, feeling disrespected by Lord Shiva, publicly insults Lord Shiva. This led to other sages cursing and counter-cursing each other. Lord Shiva became very morose. Not saying anything, he left the arena of the sacrifice, followed by his disciples. A verse from chapter 2 is text 2. Kastam chara chara gurum nirvairam santa vigraham atmaram kalam desi jagatu daivatam mahat. Translation. Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the entire world, is free from enmity, is a peaceful personality, and is also satisfied in himself. He is the greatest among the demigods. How is it possible that Daksa could be inimical towards such an auspicious personality? Chapter 3. Talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. This chapter focuses on the conversation between Lord Shiva and his wife Sati. As they discuss the upcoming sacrifice performed by Daksa, Sati expresses her desire to attend the sacrifice. Despite knowing her father's animosity towards Lord Shiva, she argues that it is important to maintain family ties, even in difficult circumstances. Lord Shiva, knowing Daksa's ill intention, advises Sati against attending the sacrifice. He warns her of the potential insults and humiliations she might face. Despite Lord Shiva's warnings, Sati remains determined to attend the sacrifice. She believes that her presence could help alleviate tensions and bring peace to the family. A verse from chapter 3 is text 23. Satvam visudam vasudev saditam yat iyate tatra puram aparvata satve tasmin bhagavan vasudevo yadok Sadome namasa vihiyate. Translation. I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vyasadeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vyasadeva, is revealed without any covering. Chapter 4. Sati quits her body. This chapter narrates the tragic event of Sati giving up her body. Despite Lord Shiva's warnings, Sati, driven by her love for her family and sense of duty, attends her father's grand sacrifice. Daksa, blinded by pride and arrogance, insults Lord Shiva, and Sati, unable to bear the humiliation inflicted upon her husband. Sati, in a fit of rage, being ashamed of her relationship with her father, sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga and gave up her body. This act of self-sacrifice showcases the intensity of her devotion to Lord Shiva and her righteous indignation against the injustice perpetrated by her father. A verse from chapter 4 is text 22. Naitena dehena hare kritaskaso deho bhave nalam alam kunjamana rida mama bhut kunjana prasangatas tajjanma digyo mahatam avadrikrit. Translation. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately I have a body produced from yours. I am very much ashamed of our bodily relationship, and I condemn myself because my body is contaminated by a relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of a great personality. Chapter 5. Frustration of the sacrifice of Daksa. When Sati passed away, giving up her body, the news was conveyed by Narada to Lord Shiva. Narada always carries the news of such events because he knows their import. When Lord Shiva heard that his chaste wife, Sati, was dead, he naturally became exceedingly angry. He also understood that Bhrigu Muni had created the Ribhudeva demigods by uttering the mantras of the Yajurveda, and that these demigods had driven away all his soldiers who were present in the arena of sacrifice. Lord Shiva wanted to reply to this insult, and thus he decided to kill Daksa, because he was the cause of the death of Sati. He therefore snatched a strand of hair from his head and throwing it to the ground created a demon called Virabhadra. Lord Shiva then ordered that demon to kill Daksa and his soldiers. A verse from chapter 5 is text 2. Kruta sudastasa putasa dujatir jatam tadidvani satro yositam ukritya rudra sahasositito hasam gambira nado visrasja tambuvi. Translation. Thus Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the hair to the ground. Chapter 6. Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. Both Lord Brahma and Vishnu were already known that such events would occur in the sacrificial arena of Daksa, and knowing beforehand, they did not go to the sacrifice. Brahma goes to Shiva, who is sitting under a banyan tree there along with the Devatas, and satisfies him with prayers. Lord Brahma, recognizing the immense power and anger of Lord Shiva, humbly requests him to cease his destructive activities. He explains the dire consequences of such cosmic anger and pleads for Shiva's mercy. Moved by Brahma's plea and the suffering of the universe, Lord Shiva calms down and agrees to restore order. Daksa wanted to enjoy the results of fruitive sacrificial activities, but it is not possible to enjoy when one offends a great personality like Lord Shiva. It was good for Daksa to have his head severed in the fight, because if he had lived, he would have committed such offenses at the lotus feet of a great personality again and again. A verse from chapter 6 is text 35. Vijatapo yogapatam asitam tam ahisvaram charantam vispasuridam vatsalya loka mangalam. Translation. The demigods saw Lord Shiva situated in his perfection as the master of the senses, knowledge, fruitive activities, and the path of achieving perfection. He was the friend of the entire world, and by virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious. Chapter 7. The sacrifice performed by Daksa. Lord Shiva, in his mercy, restores Daksa's head, but with the head of the goat that was to be used in the sacrifice. With the guidance of Lord Brahma and the blessings of Lord Shiva, Daksa organizes a new sacrifice, this time conducted with utmost reverence and devotion. Daksa and the priest glorify Shiva, and Vishnu appear and become satisfied. The sacrifice is then completed. This chapter highlights the significance of performing sacrifices according to the Vedic principles and the importance of pleasing the Supreme Lord. A verse from chapter 7 is text 12. Krichirat samstabad chamana prema vivalita sudhi sasamsa nivyalikena bhave nesam prajapati. Translation. At this time, King Daksa, afflicted by love and affection, was very much awakened to his real senses. With great endeavor, he pacified his mind, checked his feelings, and with pure consciousness began to offer prayers to Lord Shiva.